Hi friends! So my new pattern, the Emmy Sweater, has about 1 million stripes in it. So I just wanted to show you a few options for managing those stripe transitions. So I have just finished a light purple beigey stripe here. And I'm about to add this green. And I've already cut the end of my light purple. And I'm just gonna join in the green. Now you can join these any way that you like. I actually like to hold these two strands together just for that first stitch and knit that first stitch with both colors. This just helps me to avoid having two stitches next to each other that both have a hanging end on them without having to tie a knot. And that annoys me a lot. So I like to knit that first stitch with both colors. And then when you get back to that stitch, you'll just knit it together as one stitch, just like you would if you're holding your yarn double in any other context. But after that first stitch, I'm just gonna go ahead and knit my round with just my green and dropping that previous color. Whoop. Because the stripe transitions for the Emmy Sweater are all under the arms, it's not really necessary to work a jogless stripe. My first Emmy test knit, I just worked my stripes normally without any sort of jogless transition. And you can just see the jog there. I don't personally mind seeing this, but I know a lot of folks prefer not to have a jog. So if this is you, you can work a jogless stripe any way that you like. And I'll show you the way that I have done it. I did do a jogless stripe on my second test knit. So you can see it's a lot less obvious where that transition happens, and it'll probably be even less obvious than this after it's blocked. So starting where we left off before, I had joined my green and I had knit that first stitch with both colors. And I'm just about to come back up onto that first stitch again. So when you work a jogless stripe, you knit the first round the exact same way that you would knit a standard stripe. No funny tricks. And then the jogless magic happens right here. So when you come back to this first stitch, you're gonna go ahead and instead of knitting directly into this stitch, you're gonna pick up the stitch below it. And sometimes this takes a little finagling. But you're gonna pop it right up onto the needle. And because I did knit that first stitch with two strands, I now have 3 strands on my needle, and I'm just gonna knit all 3 of these together. If you don't do that trick, then all you're gonna have is those 2 strands, and it works just as well either way. So you can do that or not do it. And so I'm just gonna knit up into that, and it's pretty loose. You can see it's like pretty messy up here, but I'm just gonna tighten that up as soon as I'm a few stitches ahead. And in this particular sweater, I have a texture pattern that happens on that second round. So I'm doing that here, but if you're doing this on any other kind of sweater, you can do it in whatever texture or non-texture you are using. Okay, so I just want to go back real fast and show you guys that jogless transition again, this time without the addition of my double stitch. So you can see here, if I move my fingers, that this time there is not a purple strand in this stitch. So this is just the green. And that means that these two are hanging loose. So it's going to be a little bit looser when I work it this time. But I just want to show you what it looks like and that there really is no difference working it without. And this right here is why I like to do that double stitch, because I really don't like how loose that gets. it is easily fixable. You just pull gently on that stitch. It bothers me, so I like to do a little fix for it. So now I'm back up to my first stitch in my new color. And again, instead of working directly into that stitch, I'm just gonna go ahead and find the stitch one below it, pop it back up onto the needle, and then knit those 2 strands together. And just like before, I knit whatever strands were in that first stitch together. So if you do the double stitch, that'll be 3, and in this case it was 2 because I didn't do the double stitch. And then you work the rest of your stripe as normal until you're ready to repeat the process all over again with your next stripe. And again, I can go into this back and you can see that's super loose. So I can just true it up a little bit. And this will come out in the block and when you weave in your ends. But now that is, it doesn't really look like much now. You can't really tell that it's jogless when it's at this stage. But I've done the same thing for all of these stripes below. And it does within a couple of rounds, it does sort of, even out. You can still see it a little bit. There's obviously still a transition, but it's way less obvious than if you do the jogless. So depending on how much the jog bothers you, and how much extra work you want to do, you can go ahead and do it either way, or just leave it with jogs. Okay, so before I wrap up this video, I just want to say a quick word about end management and weaving in your ends. So obviously a striped sweater like this is going to end up with a lot of loose ends that you're gonna have to weave in. And there's really not a good way around this. If you're knitting with 2 colors, sometimes you can carry one of the colors up the stripe depending on how far apart they are, but this is pretty far apart to carry the color up between these, and there's 4 colors. I don't think it would be particularly graceful to carry up the colors, so I've just gone ahead and wherever I have a transition, I just cut about a 6-inch tail, which leaves it pretty messy on the inside before I weave in my ends. So the way that I like to handle this, and I don't have a trick for you to make weaving in ends easier, sorry, you just gotta weave them in. But what I do like to do is, this is where my joins were on the body. I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, it totally is. But I've already woven in my ends. And I just like to do this, as I go, not one, obviously I haven't done any of these and I'm still in this sleeve. So I like to weave in my ends whenever I finish a section. So when I cast off the body, I did all of my ends there. And then I'll leave that alone while I'm working my sleeve. And then once I'm done with this sleeve, I'll go ahead and do all of the ends for this sleeve at once. And then I'll go ahead and do the whole thing over again in my second sleeve. But that just makes it a little bit more manageable so that you're not weaving in all 10,000 ends at the exact same time. This will end up being a couple of dozen. So it's not nothing. You do have some time ahead of you. It's a good idea to put on an easy show that you like to watch to make this go a little bit faster. And if you really like to sit and weave in all your ends all at once at the end of your project and spend a couple hours, go ahead and do that too. But however you like to do that, this is how I like to approach it. But yeah, happy knitting. If you're knitting the Emmy, enjoy. I would love to see it. And if you're knitting something else, enjoy that too. Thanks, y'all.